Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's executive. For those of you who haven't been here before, I think most of you have, when you're asking a question, you will be heard on the recording, but they won't actually see your face. They're just having the camera pointed at us. We do have a council after tonight's executive, so we might go slightly faster than usual because I've been told that I'll get points deducted if I don't finish by about 5 to 8. So apologies for absence.
Generally, no apologies for absence.
Minutes of the previous meeting, so pages 7 to 26. Any observations, any omissions, anything that needs to be corrected? No? Everyone happy? Can I get a vote on that? Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest?
My normal one on being
Shout.
I'm chairman of the Optus Holding Company, and as such I have
you don't need to go into it because there's nothing to Okay,
Right,
that's fine. Any other declarations for anyone? No? Great. Okay, we'll move on to public question time. So, Rachel Bishop first, would you like to come and ask your question?
Good evening. The residents on Outfield Crescent are complaining that commuters parking at the entrances at either end of the Crescent are creating a hazard for other road users and pedestrians, particularly children, and could potentially block emergency vehicles. This hazard could be eliminated if double yellow lines were extended further down the road. What steps do residents need to take to get this to happen?
Thank you very much, Rachel. It's good to see you. The issues with commuters parking on the Crescent, as far as illegal parking is concerned, is a matter for the police. So if you find that they're parking dangerously or parking on corners or anything like that, you should report it to the police. So hazardous parking is definitely a police matter. The Outfield Crescent itself is an unadopted road, and we don't have legal authority to introduce waiting and loading restrictions on it. Despite that, as I said, it's an offence, and you should report it to the police if it's an obstruction. Okay.
Got a supplementary?
Yes, I can. In that case, what action do I need to take? Who do I need to take that to get action taken?
You need to report it to the police. Obviously, as it's not an adopted road, we can't put parking restrictions on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Christopher Neal, if you'd like to come and ask your question.
Good evening. The Council has stated that it seeks to protect the integrity of the Green Belt. However, it is clear from the judgment of Her Honour Judge Angela Morris, that has been upheld by the Court of Appeal Criminal Division, the Council has not acted with integrity towards Mr Scott and others. The Council has been adjudged to have acted in a way that was unjust and unfair, and so offends the Court's sense of justice that it must stay the proceedings to protect the integrity of the criminal justice system, as you will find at paragraph 93 of the judgment. It's hard to think of a more serious finding that the Court could have found, and why then, and as reported in the local press, has the Council dismissed out of hand the matter of an internal investigation into the conduct of the relevant council and officers whose actions give rise to these findings. I therefore formally request that the Council must reconsider its position. If it is not prepared to do so, then please justify fully why it is so dismissive of these findings, as council taxpayers and people having dealings with the Council, particularly in respect of planning issues, need to be confident that they'll be treated in a fair and just way in accordance with the rules of natural justice.
Good evening, Mr Neal. Thank you for your question. Wokingham Borough Council is in no way dismissive of the findings or of some residents' concerns over this issue. When the Leader of the Opposition asked me about this at the last executive meeting on the 31st of January, I expressly stated that he had raised a valid point and suggested we meet the Head of Planning in order to discuss what lessons could be learned from these events. And I'm pleased to say I've had a confirmation of a date back from the Leader of the Opposition. In your question, you quote 2 lines of a very lengthy judgment. I will quote 1 line from the same judgment. Other judges may have decided this case differently. Indeed, they have done so in several previous cases where the council has taken similar action against repeated breaches of planning and where the courts have always supported our approach and found in our favour. I maintain that it is vital that we vigorously protect the Greenbelt against unlawful development whilst securing the integrity of the planning process. But I'm very keen to learn what, if anything, we could have done differently in this case. However, focusing on court processes misses the point that Wokingham Borough Council has successfully protected the Greenbelt from unlawful development and upheld the planning process. Finally, I would remind you that despite the Court of Appeal's judgment, both the High Court injunction and 2-year suspended prison sentence remain in force.
Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. I'm grateful to hear that you are prepared to take this matter forward with the head of planning, and that is to be welcomed. I do, however, take issue with the statement that it might well have been considered by other courts a different outcome. The reason being that in this instance, the council has been woefully found to be short in terms of complying with the requirements of the law of this country. And therefore, the Court of Appeal had no difficulty in upholding the decision of Her Honour Angela Morris. And that is the important issue here. It's reputational for Wokingham Borough Council. And I would submit that it would be in your interests, as much as those of myself as a council taxpayer and other residents and the business world at large, that this matter to be fully addressed and then a line drawn under it so people will have confidence going forward that the council is acting as Caesar's wife, a proper approach. And therefore, I would ask you please to reconsider that aspect of your comment.
Okay, you may have misunderstood the quote. The quote that other judges may have decided the case differently, was that pronounced by the Court of Appeal?
That is in the finding of Her Honour
Yes.
Judge Morris,
Yes.
but it has been upheld by the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal found nothing wrong with Her Honour's judgment.
Fine, I don't disagree that that's what the court said. But just to clarify, I've already explained that we are having a meeting with the Leader of the Opposition to review it, and I would suggest it would be appropriate that we wait till the outcome of those discussions and any conclusion we come from that to see whether it would be appropriate to take it any further.
And I have no difficulty with that.
Thank you
very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Member question time. Rochelle Shepherd, you may.
Questions for Howard's person. When will the Winnish Relief Road Park Street construction begin and when is it scheduled to be completed?
Hello, Rochelle. The planning permission for Winnish Relief Road Phase 2, which is the B3030 King Street Lane to where the A329 was granted in October 2018. Enabling works, including the vegetation tree clearance, has started. It's due to complete by the end of the month. And the main construction programme started during autumn 19 is programmed to complete by summer 2020.
You said you have a supplemental question. Just thinking about it right now based on that. Can we actually finish the Winnish Relief Road Park first before starting on the NWDR roundabout? And the reason for that is the NWDR will not actually have any road attached to the roundabout until the road is built for a while. So if we could at least do the Winnish Relief Road Park first, the residents can use it in the meantime, and then build the NWDR roundabout.
Thank you. I'll take that back to the officers and see if that's possible. Carefully work.
Great. So, Gary Cowan, nice to see you, Gary. Can I ask your question?
Yeah, thanks, Hugh. I'd like to ask a question to Sandy Morelli.
Nancy, I think this is for you.
Oh, that's this one I've got here. Sorry, I apologise, I got confused. Through the introduction, sorry, I'll do it this way. Through the introduction of new technology, Customers can now report issues or requests services online. Depending on the type of service, they will be able to track progress of their case. For example, a resident can submit their planning application online using the National Planning Portal. Once they've validated their application, they will receive an acknowledgement email with a reference number. This reference number allows the resident to view their planning application via our online planning register, where they can track the progress of their case. As their application progresses, the status will automatically update on this page until a decision is published. Also, as part of the new Highways technology, residents will be able to visit our website and report a defect or request a service. The resident can request to receive an update on progress when reporting the issue. They will receive a reference number and a click here web link that will route them back to the inquiry on the website, where they can review the activity on their case. In addition, an additional benefit is that residents will be able to upload photos of defects and pinpoint the exact location on a map. If the defect has already been reported, instead of expecting residents to duplicate the report to get feedback, instead they can subscribe to the ongoing case and the resident will be able to track progress through the website. This is a significant improvement in the quality of our services to our residents.
Supplementary?
Thank you. I welcome that answer. It's very, very helpful. And I would add that my question is not meant and must not be taken as a criticism of what goes on in the council. But the bottom line is Century 21 is doing a very good job and going the right way. But the council, the relationship between individual residents and the council, I think, has been lost in the process. I did ask a question before about the availability of a telephone directory to members of, perhaps even on the website.
Is there a question there, Gary?
Yeah, there is. I'll miss it all out and go straight to the question. Could I suggest that as a matter of urgency, this issue be passed to scrutiny to look at? I could have enlarged it much more if you wanted me, but obviously not. Thank you.
I think this, because this is really part of 21st Century Council and the ongoing review of that I think it will be included in the review of the progress of 21st Century Council as scrutinises that looking for that programme of council. I don't think I want to send it back specifically, but I think it needs to be included in what's already being done.
Put name, contact, telephone directory, name, contact from officers when they invite to speak to people.
I think you.
I suppose that's a normal.
No, I think that you are, I think, being disingenuous. One of the whole points of 21st Century Council is that there are people at the end of the telephone to answer residents' queries, that we try and protect specialists so that they can get on with their specialist roles, so that we have more people who can answer more of the questions of residents. So there is nothing in 21st Century Council that seeks to disenfranchise anyone who is unable to use the new technology, and we are thoroughly committed to ensuring that all of our residents are able to access our services. So I think you misunderstand that, but I think the question around the technology and the question around how it works in practice and how people who can't use it, I think is the role of scrutiny as they scrutinise the 21st Century Programme.
Thank you. One point of view about personal contact, not technology. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Imogen, would you like to ask your question?
Coming in. Good evening, everybody. Many of the rental garages in the Woking Borough Council area are in a very poor state, often with woodwork, leaky roofs and peeling paint. In Agenda Item 99, it stated that the garage rents will be going up by 3.7%. Please could you reassure me that this money is going to be spent on maintenance of these garages and not on other projects?
Thank you, Imogen. Yes, I can confirm that any additional income from that will go to the housing revenue account. That is used to manage the garages or maintain those garages. As you rightly point out, the garages are in a very poor condition. Approximately 139 are unlettable due to their condition. And in the next financial year, the housing team have earmarked £100,000 to continue the ongoing work to either refurbish those garages where it is viable to do so, or demolish the garage blocks that are beyond economical repair. And where there have been demolitions in the past, some of the sites have been developed for much needed affordable housing. And those that have not been developed have been converted to open parking. Where this has occurred, it has been well received by the tenants, the residents and board members.
It's good to hear, and I'm hoping that these garages will get a coat of paint. Is there going to be a plan of action for all of these garages?
I would suspect there would be a plan, yes, I can confirm that.
Will it be
inside.
public? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we move on to the subject of the evening, the Housing Revenue Account Budget 2019-20, pages 27-42. Anthony.
Sorry. I think it's a Harry that says.
Oh, apologies. Harry, it is. It is you.
Thank you. The Housing Revenue Account is a ring-fenced fund. This means that the HRA must be self-financing and expenditure must be paid for those by council tenants through rent and service charges. HRA expenditure cannot be funded by council tax, and similarly HRA income should not be used to pay for general fund services. And as such, there are a number of recommendations there which I'm asking you to approve to go to the council, and they are voted 1 to 7.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Buck? Okay,
Just one, I might. The second recommendation where the council's been obliged to reduce council house rents for the last 3 years. I understand this is the last year that we have to do that. Is that correct?
This is the final.
great, okay, if that's the only question, can we go to the vote? Everyone happy, please? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you very much. Agenda item 100, capital programme and strategy, pages 43 to 80. This time with you, Anthony.
It is on me, this is mine. Just one correction for your information on page 44. At the bottom, a couple of typing mistakes. 484 million should be 486 million, and it's over 3 years and not 10. So apologies for that slipping through the net. At an ambitious capital programme, and one that I believe is affordable, prudent and sustainable, we have, as we know, a lot of need to improve our infrastructure and also to improve the services that we deliver to residents. There's a detailed set of the projects on pages 55 following, and then there's the 10-year programme which follows after that. The programme consists effectively of 2 types of capital investment, one which is financed via Section 106 and SIL, whereby because of the housing numbers we're having to take, we get considerable amounts of money from developers, and we use that money to improve the infrastructure, services and facilities for our current and new residents. And we have had a policy of forward funding that set of investment, which is something that our residents were very keen we would do when we started this programme. So that's the first part, and the other part is we have investments in new commercial assets which are financed through the rental streams from those commercial assets, and as I said earlier, they are affordably, prudent and sustainable, and I am pleased that in the long run, when we pay off the debt, they will form part of our income to support our services. As we all know, the government tends not to be very nice to us when it comes down to income, and there is nothing, in my view, but to expect that future governments in the next 20 years are going to be any better. So I would commend this capital programme to everyone tonight.
Okay, that's great. So there are actually, it says 4, there are actually 5 key recommendations because I'm 2 on 2. Any questions for Anthony? Okay, in which case can we go to the vote? Everyone agrees? Anyone disagree? Thank you very much. Agenda item 101, Treasury Management. Anthony again.
Fine, just need to find where I'm starting on this one. As I've described Treasury Management strategy before, If anyone suffers from insomnia, I do thoroughly recommend this as a very good read, and I would take some bets that most people would be asleep before they get to page 5. It forms an important process or part of our affordability and sustainability calculations because it links through to the capital programme that we discussed earlier, and it shows how they are, the projects are funded and proves that they are funded on a safe and sustainable basis. It also deals with our investments, and because again of the generosity of our developers, we tend to have quite a lot of cash on hand in advance of projects that we're undertaking. We also receive money from the government and money from the LEP for road schemes and school schemes, which again we tend to receive the money before we start a project, and therefore we have quite a lot of cash on hand, and we use that cash efficiently and effectively to finance our capital programme and also bring returns from investments as well. So I'll take any question. Oh, the other piece I was going to say was we have continued to take a very cautious approach to investments, and none of our investments are invested in anything risky. They're all invested in UK assets, no Icelandic banks or Greek banks or anything like that. In fact, we're actually lending quite a bit of money to local authorities, which is they are safe and secure. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Pollock? No? Okay, we move to the recommendations on page 81, the 6 of them. Everyone agrees? Anyone disagree? Thank you very much, that's unanimous. Now, the medium-term financial plan, there has been some variation, so I have to read out the statement, and there are relatively small numbers, but I have to do anyway. The following are amendments to the MTFP document. So the MTFP, page 94, the total for 2019-20 precept for Thames Valley Police and the Crime Commission has now been confirmed as £14,776.50 rather than the provisional figure of £14,776.29 in the MTFP papers. The MTFP, page 95, the total for 19-20 precept for Winners Parish Council has now been confirmed as 137,314 rather than the provisional figure of 137,325 in the MTFP. The revised recommendation that the Executive recommends to Council that the medium-term financial plan, MTFP 1922, including the budget submission for 1920 and the changes put forward at the meeting be approved, and 2, that we approve and amend the schedule of fees and charges as set out in Appendix B of the report to be effective from the dates listed on the schedule. So, Anthony, do you want to take us through that?
Thank you for that detailed update. These pages relating to the medium-term financial plan, there's a supplementary, more detailed document. On page 129, we show the sort of changes to the various budget lines. We are investing in our services as we always do, and we are also looking to make savings where we can. And in some areas, we've got some challenges ahead, but we have risen to those challenges in the past, and there's no reason to think that we won't rise to them again. The fees and charges, as you have read out, are an important part, though not a significant part of our income. And I think I'd also like to say that we don't receive any revenue support grant from the government, as members are well aware, and we are largely financed, almost wholly financed by council tax these days, except for a little bit of new home funds that we get through from the government for building houses, and really very valuable the fact that we have a strong tax base which enables us to sustain the services that we deliver to our residents, and the fact that we aren't cutting stuff like libraries or environmental stuff. We're actually making investments and we're actually improving services. I think that's a great credit to us and our officers and the team here. So I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Councillor Pollock? No? Okay, can we go to the substantive then? So the recommendations on page 125, noting the comments I've already made, the 2 recommendations, everyone agreed? Anyone disagree? Thank you very much, that's unanimous. And 21st Century Council, to you again.
Yeah, again, yes. This is, as I was saying to Gary, a really important project and programme, bringing a lot of our service delivery into the 21st century, looking at the digital agenda and how we improve services to residents and how we get residents to report things to us as well. And it was tasked with, I think, raising something like 4 million in savings per annum. We have banked 3 million, and the million that's left is being rolled into the Adults and Children's Improvement Boards, which will be delivered over the next 12 months. So we will deliver 4 million. It's just that the Adults and Children's is a bit delayed, but I'm confident that they will deliver that. That's fine. I'll take any questions.
Okay, so any questions for Anthony? We'll just ask to note the recommendation of the reports, and everyone agrees. Thank you very much. And all going well. The last one, 904, statement of community involvement.
Thank you, Chairman. This is to some extent a housekeeping matter. We are required to review and update our statement of community involvement, and this is what this document is about, and it's appropriate that we should keep it up to date and aligned with current thinking and guidance from the government. I don't think any element of it is of great controversy, and we recommend it too.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Weeks? Anyone, any comments? Happy to go to the vote? Everyone agrees? Thank you very much. That's agreed, unanimous. Thank you very much. Record time, so that concludes tonight's executive. Thank you very much.